thank you for your presentation and thank you for all of your involvement. At this time, I'd like to ask the council if there are any questions.
I have a question. First of all, you guys presented some really good supporting arguments for your cause. What is a project that you want to look at pursuing to address the issue? What is an example of something that can address your issue?
I would say start with greenhouses.
Greenhouse?
Yeah. Because that would probably be better for the lands.
Are there any other questions?
I have a question. So what work has been completed or what has been done?
The work has been, that we're currently doing is, trying to get the voice out, trying to let other people know. Some examples are like, getting people, trying to get people involved. That's the main thing that we're doing.
Any others? Well, I would like to again say thank you for the presentation. It sounds like this is the start of much more conversations to come with council. You know, one of the things that I would say is you've identified the problems and you've identified the issues that you want to address. You also identified some of the people that you want to have conversations and create these partnerships. So I would ask that you get some agreements in place or the conversations for some of those agreements to happen with neighboring communities, neighboring tribes, see what some of their efforts are and see how you guys can partnership because you're stronger together, right? And you know, like the councilwoman said down at the end, I would like to see a proposal for a project that can actually impact some of these things in our community. And so I look forward to the next time we meet and hopefully you can have some of those things fleshed out and then we can make a determination on that. So thank you for your time and I appreciate you.
All right.
So at this time, we're gonna have group 2 doing their presentation.
And if we can have everyone use the microphone.
Microphone.
I'm looking for people who have guns and ideas who don't want that.
Well, Skiktash, I want to welcome your group out, and we have a presentation on uranium and tribal waters today. So for the record, can you please state your name and then introduce the rest of the guests?
Yes, hello. Hello, good morning. Skitoshin ne to che to binezi lishe to to haiti lishe to mai lishe ni position da patin ne da shi to khat nizali lishe na da to lishe from Canada. And today I have all my colleagues here that are helping me along with this project, and I'll let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm from Highland High School and I'm Navajo. That is Shea Madeline. I'm from Highland High School and I'm part of the Navajo Nation. I'm Riley and I'm from the Highland High School and I'm also part of the Navajo Nation. I'm Cherise. I'm also part of Highland in the Navajo Nation and Hopi Tribe.
I'm Hunter Horace. I'm part of the Highland High School Youth Council, and I'm Navajo.
Hi, my name is Cameron, and I'm also from Highland High School, and I'm from the Navajo Nation.
Once again, good morning, honorable council and esteemed guests. Today, I have my group here. We are the Tribal Water Organization, and today we come in front of you to ask for $2.6 million in our efforts to better the quality of tribal water, or natural tribal water sources. And yes, I'll let them start with it.
Where we're taking place, this is mainly affecting the Navajo Nation, but we're mainly focusing on coal mines and campgrounds. The root causes to our problem is that people mined uranium in the 1900s and they abandoned it, which led to water expansion. Our goal today is to get all traces of uranium out of the Navajo tribal waters and to better the water quality for our next generation. Our budget in order to do this is $20K for advertisement, $300K for research supplies, $500K for community supplies, $500K for environmental supplies, and $800K for buying land, which costs $2.6 million.
And for our timeline, we will be establishing the group, which is the water plan, and then the second thing is raising awareness for the uranium in the water, and then the next is trying to fundraise to get more money and to do all the stuff we need, and then the next is researching what we need to do and for solving the problem that we have in our hands. And then the next is trying to collaborate with tribal leaders. And then the next is supplying the affected communities that are in the Navajo Nation.
All right, and then next, we also want to focus on, it's not just us being affected by the water, it's also animals around the reservations. So we do want to help them out by either relocating them or giving natural water troughs in order for animals to have better water sources. And then we want to buy land just to make sure that some of the areas are protected. Include just natural uranium mines or future uranium mines. And then we also want to host environmental workshops just in order to get the word around and to collect volunteers in order to kind of speed up the process. And then we also want to implement filters in affected areas, which will also help us do research in order to find out the best and quickest ways to separate uranium from water. And that kind of leads with more research. And then that's kind of our short term. The filters are gonna kind of help our short term problems, but over time, our long term will be just acquiring more land in order to stop people from pushing uranium mines over most of the reservations. And yeah, in conclusion, people around the reservations are affected by uranium, and it can cause a lot of problems with people that are causing them to move out. And but with your guys' help, we can ensure that our future generations will stay in the reservations, and so then we can better our future. And yeah.
Does any of the council members have any questions?
Are there any questions?
What is your question?
I have a question and a comment. I'll do my comment first. Water troughs to offer safe water for wildlife, that's a great idea, an immediate solution. And then the filtering system to be set up, also a great solution to help wildlife. But looking at the 20,000 requests for advertisement, what will you be advertising?
We'll be putting up posters around the reservations, and we'll try to get the word out so that not only like our brothers and sisters from other tribes, but also our people and some of the people who live near the reservation can help us, because this not only impacts us, but it impacts our wildlife too. And for future generations, we want to make sure that the water quality is good enough so that these like, ancient lands that we lived on are still able, and we will pass down our stories to our future generations.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Well, hearing none.
Not really a question, I think you guys have really good details, just maybe for the future. You have a lot of powerful stories that could be attached to your cause. You have access to people who still to this day are affected and suffer from the effects of uranium mines within their own communities. Maybe you collaborate or you bring in a personal story to help to promote your support for this cause.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And when you're doing the work, one of the things I would suggest is those affected with those stories come out with you and are part of this conversation. So always try to include the people that are directly affected, that have dealt with these issues, so that you can have a true voice in the conversation. Well, I have a few questions for you, because $2.6 million is a lot of money, right? And I appreciate the budget breakdown. And the reasons why are very clear, why you want to do this. And you said on the timeline, you have a timeline here, but how long is that timeline? Is it 2 years? Is it 6 months? Is it 3 days? I would like to know.
This timeline is like as soon as we can possibly get it. As soon as we have like the ability to do all these things, we will do it.
So there's not an end date, but there is urgency.
Our goal is like 10 years at most.
Okay. And then the startup costs are high, and you identified all the use. But I would like to see how you're gonna pay the people that are actually facilitating this. So is there staff that are gonna facilitate this? Is this all through volunteer work? And so I would like some more information. Maybe you can bring back to council for that.
So, in summation, all of our workers fall under research supplies because, of course, we're all going to be researchers involved in this one project that's going to be, a hope for a nationwide broadcast. And volunteer work is, well, of course, volunteers, they don't get paid. I mean, they're voluntarily wanting to help. So, like I said, all of our workers that, well, just includes us, for now, is all under, or all being paid under research supplies, which explains why it's $300K.
Well, thank you for that explanation. You know, the impact to uranium in tribal waters is directly impacting your community. But we have relationships outside of our communities, and there's other communities that are impacted. And so have you looked at neighboring communities to maybe share costs or to have them get involved? And is that something that you're looking forward to doing, or looking towards the future to maybe networking with surrounding municipalities or neighboring communities that have been impacted, and also environmental groups that might support the costs and some of the cost sharing? Are those things that you guys are looking at?
So within the whole planning of our event or project, we plan to collaborate with tons of nonprofit organizations that will, they follow that same ideology of everything is sacred, including water. So in this case, all of those nonprofit organizations that we are going to collab with are all going to share the same ideology that water is sacred. So that's why there's that little mix up, but I know we didn't fully clear it up, but yeah, that's the whole project.
So as we are all Navajos, and so we have countless stories from like our elders and like those who came before us of these devastating impacts of our water. And so we feel like we know as Navajo people what it's like for uranium in our waters, and I can't imagine like how like contamination in other tribal waters have affected other tribes, and so we're hoping to reach this advocacy to many other tribes across the United States.
Thank you. You know, with the research and information, one of the things that I would strongly urge is, and even the collaborations with other tribes and other, you know, even non-natives, if they border your community and border some responsibility to this water, they should also have a hand in the restoration efforts to clean those things up. So I would encourage you guys to reach out to them. One of the things that I would also say is when you do, to have agreements in place to clearly identify their roles and responsibilities. And then also with the research and information that you guys are gathering, ensure that you have clearly defined agreements on how that information is going to be shared. Who owns the rights to that information and how it's going to be utilized to better the project that you want to change and the impact of the goal that you guys want to achieve. So with that, I say thank you all for your presentation. Okay, council, we've had two pretty impactful, powerful presentations, and we're gonna go on to the third one. So right now, we have group 3 to the podium.
Thank you, Super Smash Bros. Council, for being here with us today, taking time out of your day to be present with us so that we can present this project to you. My name is Debbie. I'm from the Boston Rapid Tribe.
Hi, I'm Ariana Bandine, and I'm from Canadian community, and here representing Australian
Yase benim aran nişlerin ki ani nişlen doğu tazini başışçı anan taçini daşıçı doğu tazini daşınalı Casey Mineta. Hello and good morning. My name is Casey Mineta. I'm here on behalf of Navajo Tatsani Youth Council. We are trying to provide drought aid for our community through education and sustainable building and policy changes as well. So, our problem is droughts within our community, as it is in Indian country everywhere. So we are looking to build up resources within our community and do water education and different things so that we can provide our community with the best resources through drought. Our budget is what we are looking for in initial costs is it varies depending on who's going to be helping us with funding. So with your help, the initial cost for total would be $134K a year. And that's if you help us with a school that we are also trying to build, a water school for our community to be educated about water, how to take care of it, and how to build ways to sustain it within your homes and your own community. So, but if we did not get that funding from you, or if we did outside resources, the price would be a lot cheaper a year for what we're trying to do.
And with that, some steps and like goals that we were planning to do. We want, like she stated before, we wanted to start our water school so we can be educated and we can educate the people on our right to like water access. And then we also want to do petitions, so that's us getting out there and doing community outreach and being able to spread the knowledge. And for these specific goals, especially water policy changes, land and all, and like educate the people for land and all the rights to it. We wanted to do this because not only natural disasters affect communities like droughts and climate change, but also water colonization. And over through the years, us as Native people have lost specific rights and gained them back. But I think being able to educate the people on what water means to us and how we can take care of it and also like have access to it because it is our right. So then also we would have fundraising for sustainable materials, so like the sustainable building, and that would go to the water school. And then for our timeline, it's like 2 to 3 years, but we have an intent to be permanent. So then, like she stated before, like with the budget each year, that would be 134. And with the timeline, every goal and like every step that we have, I said before too in the other group, like we would have a goal for each of these, so like starting the school, the petitions, we don't have like specific dates, but every time we, or like the time that we can be able to do those, we will within 3 years.
Yeah, moving on to the long-term vision is to establish a foundation for our people to learn about water rights and become water experts. Clean, accessible water and permanent water sources on our reservation guarantee our future as well as a nation. With continuous water education, we'll make the rest a better place. Moving on to the document, or how we're going to spread this out, is by a documentary, which will be coming soon, so stay tuned. And we'll be doing this with our allies. And with a big thank you to Water, Unity, and nonprofits. Thank you.
We're open to any questions. I also would like to go more into the budget breakdown because gutters aren't cheap, neither are rain barrels. So, just like some of the costs for those things. Like gutters, depending on if you have a metal roof or not, is in between $22 and $160. Rain barrels are $80. So we want to be able to provide these resources to our community, and in terms of labor and all of that, we are hoping that we can do it within our community as well. Like that's what the water school is for, so that we can educate not only our tribe but water and other nations in how to put on a gutter, how to put on a water spout, how to connect it to a rain barrel so that your home and your family can be able to provide water for, because we need water. So there's just a lot of costs and things. We're trying to do the documentary as well. This is our media person. So she figured out a budget to where we were told by other allies and partners that we can have no cost for social media because we have iPhones and we know how to use TikTok. So if we did not get money for media out of the budget, which is around the $5,000 range, depending on if we want YouTube ads, but that is something that we want to figure out as a community as well, because we would trade shells, we would trade resources, we would trade our time and our energy, and that's something that we want to teach and establish in our community, is that it's not all about money, it's also about being able to just be a resource for your community. So we are open to any questions, and thank you again.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it. Yes.
Okay, I have a question. What will your water school be teaching? And what's the age range?
Our water school will be teaching like history nations, not just the Super Smash Bros. Clan, but it would also educate and like how we have experienced unity. Explaining like what water means to us and what water means to our people, and continuing to build that education through like workshops and like community outreach, seeing how other water looks at other nations, and our age range would be like, I wouldn't say, it would be open to everybody. It's not just, it's called a water school, and I know when you think of school, you think of like kindergarten to like 12th grade, but this is open to everybody in the community, and not even just the Super Smash Bros. Clan, but if other like people from other tribes and everything hear about it, they can come and get educated as well.
Thank you. Is there any other questions?
I have a question, just, how will you know that your school was successful? The goals of the water school is successful? Give me an example of what that might look like.
Yeah, thank you for that question. With that, like the petitions, and we can do surveys, so those surveys can present like as indicators, and we'll have specific, like I said too, how we would do community outreaches and stuff. That stuff would be like volunteer hours and such, and I mean, it's like a school, so they would have to be able to represent a problem within their own community, especially like I said, if others were coming in. And I think, yeah, just with like petitions and surveys, like continuing that, like building off that, and like building connections and like networking still, like that would be able to like show us like, okay, like this water school actually is working, and like helping bring community to.
Or let me try this. If I went to your school, what should I be able to do after I'm done completing your program?
This is more focused on like to give you a different perspective on things. Because whenever you think of water, you probably think, oh, go swim, I bathe in it, I drink it. But through this water school, it is to teach you more beyond that from an indigenous perspective. Because you know how people nowadays are like indigenous people? No. But if we were to teach them more about like simple things like water, then it will help them broaden, like open up their minds, become more open-minded.
Hopefully, through the water school, on top of all of the exposure and the beauty of coming together, you will be able to learn how to put on a gutter, do well work. We also want to build wells for our community as well, which takes a lot of supplies and training and labor. So through the water school as well, hopefully if we get the proper funding, we can be able to do workshops on how to do these things, because you can't always call someone or housing to come and put your gutter on. You know, my house was dirty. I did not want housing in my house. So I had to know how to do these things myself so that I don't get evicted safer. But it's just, we want to be able to make sure that our community is not only educated in indigenous ways of how we sustain water and go get out of drought, but also like modernize or westernize, whatever, like take their resources as well so that we can be double prepared, double successful.
I think also with our water school, although like you should be able to take valuable information from this, I think we're also providing this water school for like individuals to be able to sit back and think for themselves, take and understand like our culture as natives. So I think rather more than being able to do something, but being able to think about who you are and why water access is so important to us.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. There's another question.
I have a comment about your water school. So I think what she was really asking is about, because when you say school, there's lessons, a guide on what you want to teach students, what they're expected to learn. And then you have the testing that assesses to make sure students learn something when they complete the school. So that being being accountable for teaching, and then being transparent to make sure that you follow through with what your goal is, the vision of the school. So the whole concept of a water school and then incorporating the cultural teachings and lessons, so we relearn the survival skills of what our ancestors used to teach. That was ingrained in every member of every tribe. That was how it used to be. And no one starved, no one went thirsty, and everybody knew how to do water management within their household, within their communities. So I think it's a great concept. There's an opportunity to build on it and to make it flourish into something big that's unique. And then tying it into the modern use of water, like the tribe here with their water park, the business here that's set here. I think there's an opportunity for that as well. I just wanted to make that comment to you guys.
Thank you. And that's why we don't know yet if we want to be the proper kind of school, you know, where we have like, it's not really like, of course we want our people to get certified in things and be able to get paid for things. But sometimes you just gotta do what you have to do in order to help your community, whether you're getting an incentive or not. So if we give everyone access to that proper intergenerational water education, that modern education about water and sustainability and drought, then whether they are getting paid or not, they can help themselves and they can help their community to be able to do those things. If we called a construction company to come in and do this work for us, that is taking away our ability to be able to help ourselves in different ways and also be educated in these different ways, because you know, some people can scam you. You can get scammed, but if you mess it up yourself, you know you're the reason why. We just want to be able to help one another.
Yeah.
Just be the best water protectors we can.
Well, thank you. I actually, did you have any questions? Any more questions? Well, I had a couple things. So it sounds like, your vision and what you hope to do is a noble one, and I really commend you on that. I will say this, I'll just share an experience that I had. So I, as a young kid, was struggling, looking for, you know, my place in the world. And when I was 18, I went to New Mexico to the Traditional Native American Farmers Association. And one of the things they do over there is they teach a design course on traditional practices. And so whether this is a course where you get a certificate at the end, or something larger where you, it's a form of higher learning where you can get an associate's in traditional water management. I think those are conversations that can happen, but identifying the need is something that's key. And so when I came home, one of the things that I was told was, if there's not an outlet for the thing that you want to affect the change in, make one. And so we started a garden program here, and it was only supposed to last for 3 years, and it's been 24 years that it's been here. And so that's the kind of impact that you can have. So it all starts with a dream and a vision. One of the things that I would suggest is to help flesh this out, maybe we set you up with our Board of Education. You guys can talk to them on how this is gonna maybe be structured, and then we can come back and have a follow-up at a later date. But thank you.
Thank you.
Next group. ¿Qué estás? Looks like your group is small but mighty, right? So for the record, can you introduce yourself and your co-collaborator?
Rosa Bahia, que nas mesmas Tachinidas.
Nacional.
Skitash, Anyana Churi, Camellia Lasabu, Shamachui, Chio, Onkokimur, Amjad, Mokaloshtik, Nikomole, Camellia Lasalu, Nyapabash, Takbashtum. Thank you for listening to us. And yeah, my name is Amelia, and I'm from Saw River. I'm Otham, Pipash, and Pueblo from Zuni, New Mexico.
Our topic was about sustainability in like urban development and the lack of how it affected the tribal sovereignty. Our goals is like having sustainability, tribal sovereignty, like, and having percentages go to the tribe environmental program. Like, if they're gonna build buildings on like tribal land, we would probably want some percentage of the profit they're getting. And sustainable water practices to like protect our waters and how to conserve, and having support in building like relationships with the government, or like how connecting it to the Navajos of the Navajo Longwa of making treaties and them thinking how they're going to support us during that time. Our total cost of the budget was $1,473. And here's a breakdown of our budget. Booth, materials, resources, such as displays, 150. QR codes, surveys, and flyers. QR codes, time, and like flyer material, 120. Guest speakers and entertainment. We all know guest speakers want to get paid or have something. Yeah. And having refreshments during our proposals, water, like such as water, soda, tea, material, snacks, 200. Cultural activities, art supplies, $40. Event tickets, like microphones, speakers, projectors, so just things like that, 100. School event, or like the venue, 88.6. And some emergency funds, 500.
So for us, some of the root causes for our issues were influence of cultural landscapes, tribal federal relations, and imperialism. And we're not gonna get too deep into the root causes just because we're trying to focus on what we're trying to do more. So some of the steps or our timeline we would take, we don't have an exact like span, maybe at the minimum, like 4 years to get all of this done, but we would start with research and talking and collaborating with other youth councils or even tribal council, and then proposal writing for like money or stuff like that, resources, and self-reliance, educating others or people in our community. We would make or have an understanding or just make people more aware of these issues, make them care about it, and then we would meet with tribal federal chapter houses or council, and we would make pamphlets just to have our information and what our mission and all that kind of stuff, and then we would conduct interviews with the youth and the elderly to get both sides of it, so we can have all of those perspectives on these issues and what we're trying to do basically. And then Earlson is from the Navajo Nation, and I'm from here in Saw River, so more what we were talking about for him is the sustainability part and having more tribal sovereignty and what they want to do. And then for my side, it was more about the urban development and having a say in what happens with our land and who's building on it and all those kinds of things. So like we said, we would have a percentage of the profit that they make or some of the money, and it would go back to the community from an environmental program. So like planting or just that kind of stuff. And then we would, and then a story that kind of ties into it is for me, for the autumn, we have archaeologists actually go out to some of the sites before some of the buildings or places are built, and we'll just have them kind of check the space for artifacts or anything that would be of like cultural significance to us. And then they'll just kind of let us handle that part of it, which I think is cool because we get to have a say in what happens with stuff that belongs to us. So that's an overview of it. But if you have any questions or comments, we would be open.
Well, thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it. Council, is there any questions?
I just have like to make a comment. I like that your first step is research, because you don't wanna waste too much funding on repeating what's already been completed and accomplished. So that's a really good step to manage the funds that are being issued to you. And the other thing is, I can't really see the breakdown of your budget, so what's the biggest cost that you have, the biggest expense?
The biggest two expenses that we have are the guest speakers and entertainment. Like if we wanted to have like cultural activities, I guess, like a dance group or something like that, is 200. And then the second one is refreshments, so just like food and stuff like that. So that's also 200. But those are the two biggest ones.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Well, thank you for your presentation. I have a few comments. So that's a very modest budget. So I hope you're gonna be depending on people's goodwill to come out and volunteer their time for their presentations. Or maybe consider coming back to council and asking for a little bit more money to supplement some of these costs. You know, some of the things that you've talked about, other tribes are doing, you know, there's, I know of a tribe called Salt River Free Maricopa Indian Community that actually has some of these laws in place where developers have to give back to the community to support other causes in the community, an impact fee. They also have a landscape design policy that all the plants out here in that community, Salt River, has, they have to be indigenous to the land. So those are things that you can look at as other communities that have those same things and maybe mirror them. What I really like about this is more of policy changes and ordinances, and so you can work directly with your council. And I see a lot of the outreach happening with the community so they can have a better understanding and awareness. And then if you have that understanding and awareness, and there's more community members that come out and really support this, I think that'll help us as council have a better understanding of what our community wants, and help us in our decision making. So I really appreciate the presentation, and thank you for coming out tonight. Inspectas, Masma.
Inspector Shina Trevor Miguel. I'm here with the Bluebirds.
Yad Eshe Taya Anisha Eshe Nisha Kiani Kashishi the Tani Kasuche. Don't turn out the Kasuche.
Yad Eshe Trevor Miguel Yay the night touching in the sled or really messaging. Be my Tony Deshate for the team Deshanali.
So our project is allowing water to be more accessible. So bringing water to more communities, along with implementing rules on tribal lands, because we have a pollution problem. So it's probably like educating surrounding cities and communities. So our steps that we would take are land protection, signage installation, ranger patrol expansion, visitor education and outreach, water infrastructure repairs, new water storage tanks, like water towers, youth environmental stewardship programs, emerging land and conservation, and social media outreach platforms.
Thinking what we want to do, protect tribal lands, keep outsiders from damaging or littering on land, respect for cultural and sacred areas, make sure visitors honor our land and water, increase clean water access for tribal members, repair/upgrade water systems, planning, teach nearby communities, and also educational panels.
And then along with that, we would like to host eco conferences with youth and educational panels, so we can all come together and share ideas of what we are going through and how we can solve that, along with teaching like what we plan on doing. And then we have supporting communities, so we could collaborate with communities for funding or donations, but also give back to them.
Our time span is 1.5 year, done by 2028. Our land and water are not just resources; they are relatives. When outsiders disrespect our land, it harms our people, our culture, and our future. We are asking for your support so we can protect what our ancestors cared for and make sure every tribal member has access to clean, safe water. Protecting our land is protecting our identity.
So with that, our budget, our total that we were asking for is 150,000. So with our steps, our land protection signage / installations, that would be 12,000. So signs around the communities, like how we have here at Salt River, we have the Salt River Kingdom of Maricopa boundary set, like signs that say you're entering tribal land. And so we'd like to add more of that around other communities. And then for ranger patrol expansion, that would be 29,000. It would start off as volunteer, like see who's interested, and that would be 29,000. It'll include like vehicles, fuel, and safety equipment. And for visitor education and outreach, it'll be community workshops. So like, yeah, community workshops for employees. Like that, we do that here on Salt River too. We have workshops where they learn, employees, So we would do that with other communities, and that'll be 6,000. And water infrastructure repairs will be 20,000. So rebuilding water pipes and pumps for other communities to have water. And new water storage tanks, water towers. So we're thinking of 28,000 for a start. That'll include the pipes and supplies needed to build them. And youth environmental stewardship programs. So cultural plus environment classes. $3,000. And we're planning on posting that throughout the year. And emerging land and conservation. That'll be $5,000. And social media outreach platform. It would be campaigns at events to spread the word. That'll be $3,000. And our goal is to benefit an estimated 5,000 homes and 20,000 residents a year. And our plan is to have this run for about 2 years before because we'd like to expand. And of course, our water towers, tanks will need to be cleaned and more to be built. So, 1.5 year time span. So just to get everything started and implemented around communities. We're open to any questions now. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for your presentation. Any questions at this time from council?
Okay, I have a question. Since it's in reference to tribal lands, are there any plans to start at the federal level? Or is this gonna be all community based?
It would be community based first, and then as we work our way up, we will go towards federal. So it can go across Indian country instead of nearby. So we're kind of starting nearby Arizona at first. So such as the Navajo Nation land, like Navajo Nation and Salt River and surrounding communities. And then we bring it to federal once we see good results that we are doing what we plan on doing. So
I have a question. Have you identified the water source that you will use to bring out to the communities or the families that need it? What is that? What is the water source, and how would that fit in as a part of your plan in trying to bring the water to the people?
I'm gonna hand this over to one of my partners.
Where are you gonna get the water from?
We would get the water from
Think about your home community. Okay? Think about people like around where you live. Where do they have access to water if they don't have it at home?
have access to water with a water well, which some people don't really have time because from our water well to other houses around, it's like about 1 to 2 hour drive. So we would like try to make it closer to where it's accessible for elderly people.
And I would like to add on to that. So my mom is Navajo, and we do visit family. I've been Chinle, Arizona, Rough Rock, Arizona. So I have seen firsthand, family members without running water. And now that, they are getting older, so they are kind of having trouble traveling. That is something that we would like to fix for them and future generations.
I think you just adding in that personal experience, it makes your story and your presentation more powerful.
Any questions?
One last question. Is there any plans on holding the tribal governments accountable because they receive funding for expanding their water projects, but we don't really see too much of them?
Yeah, so we do plan on holding them accountable, like bringing it up more often to them so that they understand that it is something that they need to focus on and helping us bring to life so that they can do better in their communities, because that is their purpose, is to support their communities, represent, and increase longevity of their communities.
Well, thank you. With that comment, we're the council you're holding accountable. So I would like to work with your group, because this council is who you're presenting to today. And so if we have missed gaps in essentially what are basic human needs, right? This is the council that is responsible for that. So I would love to hear more and work with you directly, work with your group directly, and maybe work with our community managers and see what departments we can actually get engaged to do some of this work. But also I appreciate Councilwoman's question about the federal responsibility, because it's the trust relationship and responsibility of the federal government to provide those things. A lot of our tribes here in Arizona have won our water rights, but it essentially means nothing if we don't have the delivery systems to utilize that water. And those are things that we need currently. And so, thank you for bringing this awareness to us. I like the fact that you talk about mutually beneficial impacts in your collaboration efforts, because other people will be more engaged and likely to work with us if there's something that they're gonna benefit from that collaboration as well. So I look forward to hearing more about that. I think we need to work with our finance director and our admin department to look at some of the costs associated with new vehicle purchases and things like that. So we'll probably schedule some follow-ups to go over some of those things. The truck is, I can't even afford a truck and I'm on council. But I just want to say thank you for helping us to better understand the needs of our people and this gap in some of the services that are essential to a healthy lifestyle and life. So thank you. How are y'all doing? Thank you for coming and presenting to us today. We look forward to your presentation. Before we start, can we have you introduce yourself and the rest of the participants today?
My name is Isabel Kiev, and I'm from Highland High Youth Council, and this is my Bosunag, which means water. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Good morning, Gulasi, Titi Shritza. diamond and it got a vermelho she initially hako but she na cardinal she stay hako she smell it total digit and a shot I'm Pueblo and I'm Navajo as well.
Hello, my name's Brandon. I'm going to not Miracle, but I go to A+ Charter School. I'm Navajo and I don't touch you.
My name is Mimi Vito and I am from the Navajo Nation. Good fashion, I'm Jacob Chalina Miranda. Good morning, or good day, my name is Chalina Miranda. I come from the Tohono Nation and I'm also from the Hikwan district within the Tohono Nation and I am this year's Hikwan Youth Council President.
To start off, I just want to say thank you for having us. And the problem that we're trying to face is agricultural misusement and poor water quality or just water pollution.
Well, I'm not going to go really into depth in the root causes, but what the root causes are mainly is like colonization and federal government and like white supremacy just because like we were removed.
Sorry, for our audio to pick it up, can you speak into the mic so that we can have it for the record? Thank you.
For like white supremacy just because like we are white colonized right now. Like if we were to have caucuses, we would probably be in like a shelter that we had built or like a non-bill that was built by other people. I would say the biggest thing was because of white supremacy.
So, for our outcome, we want to re-own our water rights as well as obtain clean drinking water, renewable resources, healthier food options and eating habits. And going along the topic of white supremacy, we also want to have more equality and more natural human rights.
Our vision to make this project happen will be through community gatherings, social media encouragement, cause and effect posters around these communities, and most importantly, getting our voices heard by contributors in the communities and, of course, tribal officials like we are today.
For our timeline, we're hoping to get this done in about 2 months. The first couple weeks will be dedicated towards outreach through posters, social media, and also working on a formal proposal that we can submit and present to the tribal officials that we hope to meet with after this in order to gain support and financial funding. We'll also work on fundraising activities throughout the span of this timeline, and we hope to host community events that will help us with fundraising and be worked on through collaborators and volunteers, and in the end we'll work on getting water restoration projects funded and also community gardens and local food sources. As far as our community allies and partners, these will include tribal officials and our social media community, as well as volunteers and other local nonprofits that focus towards water restoration and food sovereignty. And this can include food banks, local farmers, and other environmental groups. And we would also like to include our local community like schools and things like that.
How we plan to promote is as stated through social media, but also we really hope to get involved with these communities and get to know these surrounding communities as we all come from different regions. But as stated, like I said, just really try to get interactive with everybody in the community.
So, our budget is gonna be straight up $600. Whoa. Most of these are gonna be for supplies like flyers, and volunteers for gas, and we're all gonna be separated. We're gonna be going to different regions of the state. So, we're gonna have to be the cost for the gas, the food, the volunteers, the flyers, even the venue we're gonna be going to. Yeah, it's going to be a lot, but we're gonna have communities and other families to help us there. So I don't know. So for like chairs, we can go for like local communities. So like churches, probably some other places, families who have a lot of stacked up, so that we can use them just for the time being, you know.
For our long term would be like, for our long term events, we want to inspire people through like our shops and like what we do, like kind of enforcing of like why we should keep our waters clean, just because you know it's a reliable source that everybody uses, and like you just can't live without water. And just for like agriculturally, like for farming and stuff like that, and even like everyday use, and as well as making a big impact, so then it would start a chain reaction for other communities to maybe inspire theirs to also enforce this type of plan to like also use this, because they say this is the biggest thing with our waters being dirty, like acid rain, and how some of the other presenters were saying like how the uranium's also like affecting their waters, and like we have to try and clean them. And as well as like food scarcity, it's a big deal. And most elders, like they were saying last presentation, like most elders can't always travel far. They can't go far from their home. So like we're trying to maybe install a food bank locally in the community, so then it's not as far. It's not like maybe it's in the 15-minute drive from where they live, or where because then in the Navajo Nation as well, the grocery stores are like 2 to 3 hours apart. And it's a big travel for some of these families or even these elders, so it's so hard for people to get their sources and what they need.
So like you said, I feel like since we're all humans, we should all have like the decent respect to give them food, basic food, water, and just a place to live, a nice place to live, you know. So a lot of these things that she just mentioned, some of my families, they also suffer from. So like basic water rights and other things like that, and including food banks. This recent shutdown has been affecting some of my family members right now. So I feel like I joined this just because I wanted to help my community, and I feel like everybody should have basic rights to basic needs just to live, you know. So I feel like that is very important to me, and I feel like you guys should feel like that too.
Any questions for council members?
Thank you for your presentation. At this time, are there any questions from council?
I have a question. So as youth, you're asking for funding. Can you give us an example of a project that you would specifically be able to carry out if you're funded? Sorry. What would that look like?
Okay, so as I forgot to mention, as when I was saying about promoting, and we would be going to, for example, Camp Birdie. We were hoping to create these workshops for these communities, not just for like younger ones or teenagers, but like for everybody to come and contribute their volunteer work, and also hear our presentation, hear our vision of like what we hope for their community.
Like she said, we would be holding like workshops around Arizona. The reason why we said Camp Birdie because we all live in different regions around the state. So I feel like Camp Birdie would be the best place for us to stay. And also, I live in South Phoenix, or like South Arizona. So like I would be going to like Chandler, or like I'll be going to Tucson and hold workshops with some of my friends, even if they can, you know?
Yeah,
I have another question.
I have a question on your step 2. You have colonialization. Okay, and it has federal government underneath in parentheses, you have white supremacy. So considering how much some tribal governments depend on federal funding, what is your organization's plan on addressing how you define the federal government and the funding that we receive from it?
So I get what you're saying about like our funding and stuff, like definitely, like we do kind of rely on the federal government. I mean, like they put us in the spot where we do have to rely on them. And like, yes, we try to make our own governments and our like, own little tribal councils to try to get away from that. But we still have to rely on them. We still have to like find a way to not depend on them, but like still have it as a reliable source. And like I just said, we do live in a white supremacy world to where it's more reliable on like white people, and we can't just have like our own, I guess, community things, even though we have to use like their money, we have to use their organizations that they may have created and stuff.
Just to do a follow-up comment to that, you do make an excellent point, as if you look at the history and the federal Indian policies and how the structures were established to oppress certain races, that is actually true, and it does align with your conclusion of what you're looking at. So looking at your project and how you would like positive outcomes, knowing that information gives you strength and an advantage in getting the positive results that you want. So that'd be my follow-up comment.
Any other more questions?
Well, I'll follow up to that too, so that's a pretty strong statement, right? So, and sometimes you need strong statements. And also, to me, what I try to consider is, what is the end goal and what do I want to actually accomplish in my actions and the comments that I make? Well, are you asking for these entities to come to your assistance and help you create a stronger, less white supremacy centric, I guess, structure? And if so, maybe the approach can be a little different, but I wholeheartedly acknowledge and thank you all for bringing up generational and historic traumas, because those are real. That's the very reason that there is that trust relationship between the federal government and the tribes, is because of the atrocities that have been committed on our people. And what it looks like you guys are trying to do is really, it's the spark of a movement, right? It's not just one tribe. You want to engage with multiple communities. And so you're all going to take upon the mantle to do the outreach yourself. I still think the budget is a little low. So what I would look at is maybe working with one of our community managers, or we'll set you guys up with somebody to look at government rates for per diems, so that you know how much the gas is going to cost, how much the stay is going to cost, how much it's going to cost for you guys to go out there and do your day work. Because most of it seems like you're going to do local work, which isn't going to cost a lot for like hotels or overnight stays. And so I think this is something that we can actually facilitate. But I think I want to look at your budget a little bit more, and I want to flesh out what you're actually talking about. One of the things that I would say is, you talked about water, but you also talked about food deserts and food insecurities and all these other things. And so it feels like your scope is a little bit all over the place, and so I'd like to see it just brought back in a little bit. What I can see though is, even when you're talking about food deserts, that has to do with water, right? And so all those things that you brought up are rooted in water, in their relationship to water. And so maybe we can get some staff to work with you. We can get this plan of action a little bit more streamlined, and and get you a better budget that's more reflective of what you guys are going after. But are there any other questions? Well, thank you for this. I appreciate it. Now we're gonna hear from, group 7. This is the final presentation of the day. So I hope you guys save some energy to listen. Speak fast. Speak fast. Tash, welcome to council tonight. I would ask that you introduce yourself and all of the other guests today and presenting, and for the record, I appreciate it.
My name is Sierra Toledo. I am a member of the Navajo Nation and part of the Final Youth Council.
Hi, my name's Cameron, and I'm a part of the Navajo Nation and the San Carlos Apache tribe.
Youth Council and
Yate She'e Charles King, Inishin, Fuji, Inishin, Nijini, Bashichi, Kisani, Flogadische. Hello, we are the Alpha Clan.
So, good morning, Tribal Council. We are the Alphas. We are consisting Native youth across Arizona, and we see an issue in our communities. So, currently we see the loss of traditional herbs and the eroding knowledge of that have been passed down by ancestors alongside these herbs. So the root causes of this issue is the demand of industrial projects, urban development, and the lack of awareness of these traditions.
And this is our timeline. We are going by weeks, and the first one is research, and then speak with the community for the first week, and then the second week will be spread awareness. And what we'll do that is through social media, just getting the word out there. And then a third week will be promoting community cleanups and educating the community, with also collabing with hopefully like Native Youth Councils. We would like to partner with our local tribal councils in our communities to work in nonprofit organizations dedicated to protecting and conserving these herbs to help restore them for our traditional environment.
So our mission is to restore these herbs. And with that, we would like to have like DIY projects, seed kits provided to the community alongside with research, understanding these herbs, and allowing to bring the community together to bring back these knowledges and traditions that come with these herbs. And we hope to see it flourish alongside with other tribal communities.
And then so starting community gardens for week 5, and then week 6, implementing conservation efforts and sustainability. And then week 7 will be maintaining our efforts in the community. And so with that, we need fundraising, we need budget, so.
The budget consistent cost of this project would be estimated to be around $1,075, and we've had stuff like equipment, like gloves, gardening tools, and like tech, like around 150. Transportation, like gas and trips around the reservations and like communities. Also 150. rent rooms and halls for like meetings and conferences to have like to conference about around 200 to outreach and like put out flyers and like to spread out to other communities that we're doing this. We'll do workshops and like art storytellings and like bring people out to share what they thought about this and like what they learned. Bring volunteers to help different communities also to like collaborate with us and bring like snacks and water and like nourish them and like make more DIY gardens so we can like help them communities and like more put them out more to the
So our goal is to have abundance of traditional herbs culture. And what that means is council delegates, tribal members. So you are our elders and we look up to you and you want your kids and your kids' kids to have those medicines because those medicines are linked to ceremonies and if those ceremonies are a part of our identity. This mission is to preserve and continue what makes us connected to the land for future generations. So, yeah, for me, like yucca, like I know yucca is kind of like hard to find because in the Navajo culture, us girls, we needed to wash our hair. And so that's like very important for me, the medicine. Yeah.
So I would like to add on with that. So we inherit this land from Mother Earth, and we understand by taking action we can amplify our voices, and especially creating that change for multiple generations to come. So when I was younger, I grew up growing corn, and on these cornfields we have an abundance in corn, but I can no longer have access to this because soil is the lack of nutrients within the soil has dried out. Water is a lack of access to, and we have to haul from like windmills, and it's hard to do that, especially from these homes that have been implemented with water. They have bleach and chlorine within them. So I also grew up with like multiple herbs on my grandma's homestead. And these herbs are dying out. I see them in less in abundance, and I come to find out they do have like traditional stories. They have names. And I would just love to see that for my their children, next generations to come. So our goal is to have these projected gardens, allow our communities to understand and have that knowledge. It's our identity, and we would love to have that for future generations. Thank you. Any questions?
I have a comment. You guys are right. We need the medicine for the future, for our younger generations. Because they're gonna need it. It's part of our livelihood. And it's used in ceremonies, making herbal teas, using prayers to help us heal our bodies, cleanse our minds, our spirits. And that's what's needed a lot among our community members. So thank you for thinking about the future. Yeah.
Just a quick comment. It was really awesome to not just hear your thoughts and hear your voice, but to actually feel your passion. So when you speak from the heart like that and you share the personal connections that you have you bring that out in your own personal story. It just really adds to supporting what you're trying to share with the group of people. So I appreciate those personal connections because I found them.
Thank you.
I think that helps council, you know, we all sit up here, we hear presentations all the time, and a lot of people say, well, it's us versus council. Council doesn't care. We do. And hearing those personal stories makes me think of some of the things that I've gone through, some of the losses and some of the plants that I've had relationships with, the stories that my grandma told me. I think it helps all of council if you better understand why we should support your efforts. So thank you for sharing that. You know, the plants that we have, there are still traditional knowledge keepers out there, so I'd encourage you to get them involved in your outreach. Ask them to teach you how to save seeds from those. There's other entities out there that are propagators that can bring some of these medicines home. So identify those and ask them to reach out with support too. Donate the plants. Tell them the same story you shared with us, why it matters to us, and to see if they can help. A lot of times the hardest thing to do is ask for help, right? But you don't give somebody the opportunity to lend that hand unless you reach out with yours first. And so I just really appreciate what you guys are trying to do. This is something that really pulls on my heartstrings because I worked with traditional medicines and plants for all my life. And so this is something that I wholeheartedly support. I hope council supports this endeavor. I don't know if you're asking for a motion to support this or not. I think all the other projects were just informational, so I think this is actually a request. So if council's willing and ready, is there a motion to support Saving the Medicine project?
I'll motion.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? Second. I've seen her hand faster. There's a motion and there's a second. Is there a couple of questions? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Hearing no opposed, no abstentions. Motion's passed. So I look forward to working with you. We're going to set you up with some of our staff, and we'll get started on your project. I look forward to hearing more. Thank you.
I do want to leave you with this. So they say the tip of your tongue is the most powerful creating action and also like influencing your life. So I want to say this kata hajonjanina, which is bring beauty from the past into your future. Thank you.
So with that, council, we've come to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn? Our motion, is there a second? Anybody wants to stay here? Other than a second? Any questions? Hearing none? All in favor? I'm good. Have you unanimous consent?
Okay.